Imagine your laptop screen glowing faintly in a dimly lit room. Suddenly in the corner, a small red 3% icon flickers. It's not just a polite warning, it's a countdown. In that exact moment, your machine has less than 2 seconds to perform a high-stakes digital maneuver, copying up to 16 gigabytes of active memory from its lightning-fast RAM to the slower, permanent storage on its disk. If it fails, everything you were working on, that unsaved document, that complex spreadsheet, your entire browser session, vanishes into thin air. Most people imagine their computer simply winks out of existence when the battery hits zero. But the truth is far more dramatic and precise. I dug into the invisible systems and intricate chemistry that power your devices, and what I found reveals a hidden battle against data loss and permanent hardware damage. It all comes down to a tight choreography between the software you see, the hardware inside, and the very chemistry of the battery itself. Long before your laptop flashes that critical 3% warning, the operating system is already preparing for the inevitable. When your battery charge level dips to around 7%, a series of urgent, invisible processes kick into action. The operating system logs a critical event, marking the beginning of the end. More importantly, it starts flushing its disk cache. Think of the disk cache as a temporary holding area where your computer keeps frequently accessed data, ready to be written to the main storage. If the power suddenly vanishes, anything still in this cache is lost. So at 7%, the OS aggressively clears this temporary space, writing all pending data to the hard drive or solid-state drive. At the same time, it writes all in-flight journal commits. These are essentially records of upcoming changes to the file system. By committing them, the system ensures that even if it crashes, it knows exactly what changes were supposed to happen, making recovery far more robust. This isn't about saving your open documents yet. It's about making sure the system itself can restart cleanly, without corrupted files. The real high-wire act begins when the battery hits 3%. This is where your computer executes its last-ditch effort to save your work. An industry standard called ACPI, or Advanced Configuration and Power Interface, steps in. ACPI acts like an air traffic controller for your computer's power management. When it receives the 3% signal, it triggers a forced hibernate command. Hibernation is a special power state where the entire contents of your computer's RAM, that 16 gigabytes of data representing every open program, every tab, every unsaved character, is copied directly to a special file on your hard drive. This is why the process is so time-sensitive. Modern laptops, like a high-end Dell XPS or an Apple MacBook Pro, are designed to complete this massive data dump in under 2 seconds. If the power cuts out before those 2 seconds are up, that 16 gigabytes of active memory is instantly erased, and everything you were doing is gone. The 3% warning isn't just a suggestion. It's the start of an irreversible, automated emergency landing for your data. But what if the system can't complete the hibernate in time? Or what if you try to push past that 3% mark? This is where the story moves beyond software and into the realm of chemistry. Your laptop is powered by lithium-ion batteries, a marvel of modern engineering that has revolutionized portable electronics. Unlike older battery technologies, lithium-ion cells hold a lot of energy in a small package and don't suffer from the dreaded memory effect. However, they have a critical weakness. They are extremely sensitive to being completely drained. Every lithium-ion battery has a safe discharge floor, typically around 3.0 volts per cell. Pushing a cell below this voltage starts to do irreversible damage, not just to its current charge, but to its long-term health. The most severe damage occurs when a lithium-ion cell drops below 2.5 volts. At this critically low voltage, a process called copper shunting begins. Inside a lithium-ion cell, copper foil acts as the current collector for the anode. When the cell is overdischarged, the copper ions in the electrolyte start to dissolve and then redeposit as metallic copper dendrites. Imagine tiny, needle-like structures growing inside the battery. These copper shunts can pierce the separator between the anode and cathode, causing internal short circuits. Not only does this permanently reduce the battery's capacity, but it also increases its internal resistance, making it less efficient and more prone to overheating. A battery that has experienced severe copper shunting will never hold as much charge again, and its overall lifespan is drastically shortened. This isn't just a temporary inconvenience, it's permanent, physical scarring of the battery's chemistry. To prevent this kind of catastrophic damage, every modern laptop battery pack contains a sophisticated piece of electronics called the Battery Management System, or BMS. The BMS acts as the ultimate guardian for your battery cells. It constantly monitors critical parameters like voltage, current, and temperature for each individual cell within the battery pack. Most laptop batteries are not a single large cell, but a pack of several independent cells, often 6 or even more wired together. The BMS keeps an eye on every single one of them. Its primary directive is preservation. When any single cell in the pack approaches that critical 3.0-volt threshold, the BMS will intervene, cutting off power to the entire device, regardless of what the operating system might be trying to do. This sudden shutdown, even if your laptop's software indicated a tiny bit of power left, is the BMS overriding everything else to save the battery from permanent copper shunting. Even with the BMS diligently protecting against critical overdischarge, lithium-ion batteries have an expiration date. They are consumables, slowly degrading with every charge and discharge cycle. A full charge cycle is typically defined as using 100% of the battery's capacity, whether that's from 100% down to zero, or 2 cycles from 50% down to zero. After approximately 500 full charge cycles, a typical lithium-ion battery will have degraded by about 20% of its original capacity. This means a battery that once gave you 8 hours of work might now only provide 6.5 hours. This isn't a defect, it's an inherent characteristic of the battery chemistry. The lithium ions that shuttle back and forth between the anode and cathode slowly lose their ability to move efficiently, and small amounts of lithium become permanently trapped, reducing the battery's effective storage. Modern technology has pushed the boundaries of charging speed, allowing many smartphones and laptops to go from 0 to 80% charge in just 30 minutes. This fast charging is incredibly convenient, but it comes with a hidden trade-off: heat. Rapidly pushing a large current into a battery generates internal heat, and heat is the #1 accelerator of battery degradation. The chemical reactions inside the cell speed up at higher temperatures, leading to faster breakdown of components and quicker capacity loss. This is why the BMS is so crucial during charging as well. You might have noticed that your device charges much faster from 0 to 80% than it does from 80 to 100%. This isn't an accident. The BMS actively throttles the charging current once the battery reaches around 80% capacity. This final, slower trickle charge minimizes heat generation during the critical final stages of charging, protecting the cells from unnecessary stress and extending their overall lifespan. From the operating system diligently flushing its caches and committing journal entries at 7%, to the ACPI signal initiating a frantic 2-second memory dump at 3%, and finally, the battery management system acting as the cell's last line of defense against damaging overdischarge. It's a multi-layered system designed not just for convenience, but for the fundamental protection of your data and the expensive hardware you rely on. Manufacturers like Apple and HP invest heavily in these intricate power management protocols because the cost of lost data or a permanently damaged battery far outweighs the slight inconvenience of a forced shutdown. The critical low battery warning isn't just a sign of impending power loss. It's a testament to the complex, silent battle your devices wage to protect your digital life from vanishing. Consider subscribing for more deep dives into the invisible systems that run your world. Beyond the immediate crisis of a low battery, there's another hidden layer of sophistication: the battery fuel gauge chip. This isn't just a simple voltage sensor. It's a dedicated microcontroller embedded within the battery pack itself, often from companies like Texas Instruments or Renesas. Its job is to precisely estimate the battery's remaining capacity, often measured in milliampere hours or milliwatt hours, and then translate that into the familiar percentage you see on your screen. To do this accurately, it continuously monitors discharge curves, internal resistance, and temperature, building a complex electrochemical model of the battery's health and state. Over time, if a laptop is rarely fully discharged and recharged, this fuel gauge can drift, leading to inaccurate percentage readings or unexpected shutdowns, even when the display shows 10 or 15% power remaining. This is why manufacturers occasionally recommend a calibration cycle, a full discharge followed by a full charge, which allows the fuel gauge to relearn the battery's true capacity boundaries. Modern operating systems, like macOS with its optimized battery charging or Windows with smart charging, now actively leverage this data. They don't just protect against overdischarge, they also prevent prolonged periods at 100% charge. For instance, Apple's system on a MacBook will learn your charging habits, and if you typically leave it plugged in overnight, will intentionally hold the charge at around 80%, only topping it up to 100% just before you're likely to unplug it. This practice, based on extensive research by institutions like Dalhousie University's Jeff Dahn Lab, significantly reduces the electrochemical stress on the lithium-ion cells, potentially extending their useful lifespan by hundreds of cycles. Behind that simple battery percentage, an invisible array of microprocessors and chemical safeguards are engaged in a constant, high-stakes battle, protecting your device from self-destruction and every byte of your work from instantaneous oblivion. This intricate dance of chemistry and code is so critical that companies like Tesla, for instance, invest millions in advanced battery diagnostics, often integrating AI algorithms to predict cell degradation with unprecedented accuracy, identifying potential failures weeks before they impact performance. Your device's longevity and your digital existence are constantly just milliseconds away from chemical chaos. Subscribe to Loopback, and the next video is waiting for you on screen right now.